one sec. All right, Ian, you can get started.
All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ian Benoliel, and the topic of this webinar is the recent update we did last week, Wednesday night. If you're not familiar, you can go to help.ordertime.com, and then there are your headings over here. So you want to go to release notes and troubleshooting, and we have every one of the release notes here. So I'm just going to click on that, and you can see here basically what we've added, what we've improved, and what we've fixed. A lot of what we fixed, you may have seen in a hot fix. A hot fix is when we don't do a full version, but we just update a couple of files. Okay, so we can do hot fixes for kind of like the critical type of things that get missed by us, and we've been doing that quite regularly. The big addition to this version has been the rental modules. We work together with a client of ours, fellow customer, and we jointly developed this new module to include, and I'll discuss that a little bit later on. But we'll talk about some of the other things, and primarily let's talk first. You may have seen our new way of doing the two-factor authentication is now with the Google Authenticator. You can download if on our website, you should see Google Authenticator, and you can download it either from on your Apple or your Android device. Okay, it's pretty simple. Once you see that, you scan that in or type in manually the verification code. Right away, your email will show up, and before the time expires, enter your authentication code and go submit, and you'll be entered. Now, if you're using login as with Google, right, you don't have to do the authenticator because Google authenticates you. Now, each user can bypass authentication. Like, for example, in my user over here, I've disabled, so I can disable it on a per user basis. The other thing we introduced is to enforce completely two-factor authentication. So if I click on that, if I say yes to that, I check it, that means 2FA is required for all users. It'll ignore everybody's individual user preference, and everybody will have to do it. Okay, the way our 2FA works is that if you log in for the first time from another IP address, it'll require two-factor authentication. After 30 days, we re-authenticate. So that's the way it works. There's a couple of other things. One of the things you can notice on the search, we removed beta, and now we've added a way to search for document numbers. So now it's still 5 digits. So if you want to search for like 500, you do something like that, 00500. And if I go search, it gives me one sales order and one receiver that match that. Okay? So that's the way you do that. So now it works for searching all doc numbers, and it generally searches within text fields and customer, item, vendor, addresses, things like that, contacts. Okay. Custom messages is something that we had in our older program, and we added it. So what custom messages are, by the way, when you look at here, these links are to the actual help topic. So you can review that health topic, but I'll quickly review it. So the idea of custom messages is that if you're cutting into the memo string, the memo field of an order or a customer over and over and over again, you can kind of create these custom messages that are just basically you could save those messages and then put it into wherever you want, or use it whenever you want. So to create a custom message, we go into the profile list, and there's a new profile list under sales called custom messages. Just like every other profile, this is a really simple profile list. You press that to create a new one. Right, and so that's a custom message. So I have two custom messages: my boilerplate and my new M. Okay, so let's say I'm sitting on a customer now, or a sales order, and it works with this note and memo fields. All right, all I have to do is press Alt G, and I'm going to get this little pop up here, and then I can just kind of pick which one I want, and it just puts it in there, and I can just save. So that's custom message. Very easy to use, very handy if you're writing a lot of notes continuously and putting that information in. There's a couple of things we did with regard to sales order shipping and purchase order receiving, and that relates to purchase order or sales order. That relates to having the ability to just ship certain items without having to ship this whole order. Let me put in another item here. This one here. This one, 5. So I approve that. And now when I create the ship doc, I have two options. I have ship doc, which will just do the whole thing, or I can click on that and then select, including the quantities, what I want to ship. If I don't, let's say I don't want to ship this one right now, I can do that. Okay, there's my ship doc. And that's available also on the purchase order. Okay. Now, you may know that if you have a dependency, let me just kind of back out here, and I can kind of increase this, and I can associate other purchase orders towards it. So this one I created by creating a link PO. Okay, but I want to increase the quantity of this PO, and then I want to associate it with another order. So let's pick the line item here. All right, and let's say, so you can associate it with any of these. I can kind of, I don't want to associate with that. That means one remaining. So maybe I want to associate one of these here over there. Long this. So I go save. All right. And now that's the way I can create kind of a link between the PO and a sales order after the fact. It's very convenient, and that's why we also added it to the work order. Right, so now the same idea, you go to dependencies and you can associate. It's already been allocated, so we can't do that. But if I look at one that's like waiting, so we can associate it like that if we wanted to. All right, so that's the idea. You can associate it. Now that we're talking on the work order, when you have a linked PO or a linked sales order, we can now put the customer information on there, the customer PO number, the SO number, and the SO promise date. That's automatic now. So it's very easy now to kind of associate a linked PO or a linked sales order. We have these columns by default now. And those are also available on all the reports. So anytime you create a linked work order, you'll see the customer PO, the customer number, the sales order number, and the sales order promise date. We added, I just want to go over a couple of the preferences with regard, again, to linking POs and linking work orders. So first, we'll talk about the purchasing. All right, so here there's a couple of preferences here that could automate the creation of either a ship doc, okay, creating the ship doc, or allocating a work order, repair order, or a sales order. So when we have a linked transaction, meaning that from a sales order, I created a purchase order, all right? It may have been a drop ship PO as well. The minute I receive it, I don't even want to think about it. I just want to have the ship doc created for me. I just want to have the ship doc created for me. I'm going to go ahead and create our linked PO here. So I'm going to create this as a drop ship. And there might be a mix of items on here. Some are drop ships, some are not. There is a field on here that you can clearly see on your item list which ones are drop shipped and which ones are not. In the preferences, the minute I receive it, I want to create the corresponding, after I create the receiver or a drop ship, I want to create the corresponding ship doc automatically. Right? So that's the preference that I have here. Right? These two preferences relate to only drop ship, right? And these two relate to linked POs. The difference is obviously a drop ship ships directly to a customer. So like anything, I can always navigate backwards to the purchase order. Approve and receive. Okay. I should be able to go back here. I'm not quite sure if that's called. Let's enter. There's our ship doc. Okay. All righty. So that's a good thing to do. There's a couple of other things as well that on the inventory, it's very closely related. And it's this one over here. Enforce allocation to dependencies from linked POs. What that means is that, let's say you have two sales orders open, and each of them for the same item, and each of them, on one of them, are linked to a work order. You don't have anything else in stock. Then you finish one work order, but ship the other sales order. That linked work order can be taken from an unrelated or unlinked sales order. This prevents that. This preference prevents that. So you have to, when we do the ship doc, we actually look. Oh, this came from this. This is linked to this work order. This is the one. This is the work order. If we don't see it, then you would have to create another work order for that other sales order. All right. And just a bunch of other preferences here that we've kind of gone over here. So production, we've kind of added some, again, the same thing here after finishing a work order with a linked sales order. So that's the same idea. This here is something that you might want to take a look at in terms of some company, the way our work orders work is that the way it goes into QuickBooks or Xero, the accounting system, is we use the finish date. And sometimes when you undo something and you redo it, it kind of changes the finish date. So what this preference does is basically locks in the finish date as whatever the promise date was on the work order. So you can more closely control where, in which period it gets posted into QuickBooks. And then there's some other ones here, automatically, allocate, set quantity. So here is when, we now have the preference, automatically allocate when a work order is created, automatically allocate when a work order is changed to finished. This one was here. This one's new. Right, so this one's good if, for example, you forget to allocate and by mistake you don't backflush all the components. This will make sure that you do it. Shipping preferences, if you use the packages, they're now a preference to auto-generate the packages. The minute a sales order is converted into a ship doc, it can now, with certain business rules, create all those packages. Okay. And one of the other things that was asked for with regard to the preferences was the mobile preference that some people wanted to have it when it gets posted back into order time from the mobile device, it automatically changes status to shipped. And there's other ones as well here. For the lot number, whether the pop-up shows the quantity field. Some people are always entering 1, so the default is 1. So if you're doing serial numbers, you can get rid of that and just kind of quickly enter or scan in the serial number. We did add some more things to the reports. We added this inventory or this quick kind of filter here because some of the people had a really long. All right, so it kind of highlights that. And to see everything again, you just click the filter icon. So that's the one I want, and then I can just run that. Printing labels, now we can do. So now we can print labels from lot or serial number. Yeah. Things like that. Okay. So I'm going to go over the rentals a little bit now. The idea behind a rental is you're not selling the products, you're renting them. And in order to do that, we need to, there's a bit of a setup that needs to be done. So I have these two items here. One of them is called heavy, the other one's called big. And those are my two. And the rented items always have to track lot or serial number. That's a requirement. There's no way around that. The reason is because when you're renting an item, it could have the same SKU, right? But the only thing that distinguishes it is from the serial number. So that's why we have to do it by serial number. Once you check that, you'll get the rental dialog, and not everything that has a serial number is rented. So you have, in order for it to show up as being a rentable product, you have to click this thing, is for rent. Now, when we post invoices to QuickBooks, here, by the way, are the kind of the prices, hourly, daily. I'll go through. Half day is kind of a standard in certain heavy equipment rental ways, where they go really by machine hour as opposed to days, and the percentage insurance rider. But this is an important thing right here. So when we post an invoice to QuickBooks for the rental revenue, we can't use the item, right? Because the item is an inventory item. We don't want to transact with that. So what we do is we set up a service item. It's kind of like a proxy in a way, that basically when we create the ShipDoc invoice for the rental, we're going to use this item instead of the actual item that's rented. Now that can be set on an item per item basis, or if there's certain times where you might want to set that up also. So if you don't see that rental thing, you might need to go to your page layouts, go edit, and just revert to default. Go back here. So here you can also put, the shipping item on here as well. Talk about machine hours in a second. All right. Now there's a whole kind of preferences related to that you can kind of do a bunch of defaults here, like the default, shipping item, the default insurance rider percentages, when creating a ShipDoc. Now here is kind of the minimum interval. So we can do it by hour. So imagine if you're renting a car, and then the multiplier is taking the hour or whatever the lowest common denominator is and multiplying that rate. In this case, so for a daily rate, I would use 3 to multiply, and this can be a decimal, by the way. I would use 3, in this case 3.25, to multiply the daily rate, and I get my weekly rate. Same thing with the monthly. So when I'm in an item and I'm kind of looking at the rentals, all I really have to change is the lowest common denominator, and everything else changes. Just like everything else, rentals has a dashboard. Instead of things. The dashboard is really a Gantt chart with a schedule of what's gone out and what's not. So I can see that this piece of equipment here, serial number big 01, serial number 010, it's rented. Right? So it's kind of, and we'll take a look at that in a second. And this one is rented as well. So I can create a new rental item, a new rental contract like so. Just typically, we pick a customer, and at this point, we're going to decide when the start date is. So let's say they wanted at 2:30 p.m. on the 30th. 30 p.m. And they want it for 8 hours or 7 hours. Now, because this is a half day minimum, this is a day minimum, or and the minimum is 1 day. So you can see we're automatically calculating here. I'll just do it for 3 days here. So we're automatically calculating the end date. Notice also there is an additional address. There's a delivery address and a pickup address. I could on this insurance waived. If I click that, that means that they're not going to be charged insurance. This can be set up as a default for a customer. So everything else, memo, it's custom fields, the same idea. Now we can add two types of items. We can add, let's say, whatever they want, gas. And so you can charge them from gas just like any other item. But more likely, you're going to add equipment. Okay, so they want the equipment. So let's say they want the heavy, and you can see here that it's available on those days. So I can add any one of these. I'll add this one. There it is. So there's my rental contract. And so in order to change it, kind of lock it in, because at a quote, it's not locked in. If another rental contract can come in and take it if it's a quote. If there are two rental contracts in a quote that conflict, the first one that reserves gets it, the other rental contracts get voided automatically. So then so it's a good idea to reserve it. So let's take a look at this rental contract, which is out and it's late. All right. So maybe they actually brought it back. Today is the 16th. They brought it back late. So I'm going to now, it's out. I know when it's gone out. Now I'm going to say, stop it. All right. Now here it's saying, would you like to reset the end date? If I say yes, it's going to recalculate this rental contract, and because the end date is now a little bit longer. So I'm going to say yes. Not that much longer. Right, so it recalculated that exactly to today, and it recalculated the thing. So now it can also see that we automatically created the invoice the minute I stop it. And the invoice does not use the item. It uses the rental revenue item, which is a service item. And so in your accounting system, you can see, how much rental revenue. And of course, also you can do so through order time, because is rented is a field. So you can just kind of filter by that. I can also, just to let you know, if we wanted to, we could, even before the invoice is created, we can take a payment. Same thing, the same dialogue. And you can see if the invoice, if the rental is paid. Automatically, when the invoice is created, we'll apply that payment to the invoice. That is it. So I'd like to open it up for some questions. Any questions will be fine on any topic. So
yeah, if you want to ask some questions, you can either use the chat at the bottom right hand of your screen. You can click on the chat bubble and type in chat, or I think I've enabled it so that you can unmute your microphones also. Just take it one by one if you're going to do your microphone.
Hi, it's Bożena. So I have a question about work orders.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And there was this enforced allocation to dependents from
Dependencies.
transactions.
Yeah.
So when we're opening a work order and for new assembly, and our assemblies are very complicated. They have a lot of sub-assemblies. And there is a question if we want to use something that's in the inventory available or create all new work orders.
You mean the drill down? Or link POs? Or link work orders?
Link work orders. When you're opening work orders, yes?
Yep.
There is a question if you want to use what's available in the inventory or you want to create all new work orders.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
So when we're answering that we want to use what's in the inventory, it can still finish the sub-assemblies from different drill downs. So if we checked this enforced allocations, will it prevent from stealing or not?
That's a good question.
Because that's what it does right now, but sometimes we have pre-made sub-assemblies that are sitting on the shelf. And there are also, finished or half finished assemblies from different builds. Our instruments are modular.
This one is across the board for all link transactions. So the answer to your question is yes, it will enforce that for drill downs, because drill downs are also dependencies, right?
Okay.
So you're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
So if I press cancel, it'll only create no work orders because I have everything in stock.
Mm-hmm.
But if I press OK, it'll create. Well, I don't have any. Okay. It'll be good if I have a work order with some.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
But then if we want to ship something that was built for another customer, this will also prevent it from shipping?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, okay. If it's linked to a sales order, that's right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe it's not a blessing after all.
Well, I mean, it depends. It really depends if you have how specific your work orders are, right? Okay, so there's a work order. So they're also dependencies, so it would enforce that. So it really depends if the work order is really specific to a customer, you want all those costs. And we do it mainly for costs and serial numbers, right? So if you have one serial number that's linked to a one sales order, and that maybe you put something extra in there or whatever, you want that serial number or that, those costs related to that work order to go to the sales order as opposed to another work order. Okay.
That reminds me of another problem that we're having with serial numbers, actually, because we want to track just some items by serial number, but those are big, expensive items. And when you're not careful, the system will just assign, another serial number. And it's kind of not prompting you. I'm not doing work orders right now, but I know I was recently involved in counting inventory, and we had, problems with serial numbers because the system is just using, the next available serial number and not what's actually going into the machine. So how to prevent the system from, entering automatically, like stop, whomever is working on this and ask, to enter actual serial number.
You're saying that when they enter a serial number on a work order or something like that, the get next.
I mean, the system enters it for you. If you're not.
So
is there a preference we should check?
Yes.
Okay.
So, right. Okay. So on shipping, you see this little button right here?
Yeah.
This thing will force you to enter the quantities when you ship. So it won't automatically allocate any serial number. You'll have to enter the serial number.
I'm talking more. Okay, so this is for shipping, but how about work orders?
Work orders, the same idea. You don't want to allocate component. Oh, when you allocate, you mean? I mean,
yes.
So
no,
you don't want people to press this button.
No, we have a lot of work orders. We want people to press this button, but when there is a part that has a serial number, I would like them to enter the actual serial number that they're using.
Okay.
And at the moment when they're allocating, they don't really know what serial number is going to be used. It's when they are finishing.
That sounds like a feature request. I'm gonna write it up right now for the
allocate on work orders to exclude lot or serial numbers, so they have to force them to pick it.
Right? Yes, that will be great.
Okay, thank you for that feature request.
Definitely, we always get a few every single webinar.
That's pretty good. That's a good one. I would say I'd rate it 7.5 out of 10.
No,
so
man.
at this time there is no way to, because I remember in the old system when I did work orders, you actually had to, it wouldn't allocate if you didn't enter serial number.
It would allocate. You can still do it. It was called pick selected or pick all. It would do the same thing, exactly the same thing. Let's take a look at it. Maybe there's a preference that we didn't. Okay.
And we have some questions in chat also we got to get to.
Yeah.
After that.
All right, go ahead.
You ready for it? Okay.
Yeah.
I associate a work order to a sales order. I can see the work order show up under the dependency, but it doesn't show the item number. Is there a way to show that? And this is a message from Jennifer in chat.
Okay. So you're creating a new sales order. Doesn't matter. Now you'll notice I have another tab here, okay, called dependency item. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Put in two bombs. Could be POs, doesn't matter. Now this tab does not show the item, but this one does. So you just have to add it.
Oh, okay. So it's another tab that they have to add in the
sales,
page
sales.
layout.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a new tab we added last version.
Okay. Let me. I'm gonna add that to the notes that I send out after this webinar as well. Page
Sure.
layouts, dependency item tab. Okay, so you'd go into your company preferences and page layouts, and then you'd add that tab, Jennifer, and then that'll allow you to see it.
Yeah.
The next question is, will a work order created from reorder analysis for production be linked to the sales order that is driving the required amount?
If it will, it will. But your scenario, this thing over here, has to be this.
It has to be on has demand required?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then the next one is, where in the preferences was the auto allocate to dependency?
Well, it was in force allocations. I don't know if I'll allocate to dependencies.
Yes.
This is what you want to do here. After finishing a work order with linked sales orders or linked work orders, allocate to this corresponding sales. That's the question. Where is the preference was for auto allocate dependency? That's it right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's under production. Yeah. Okay, so
Production
it's the setting
advanced.
at the bottom of advanced production. Yeah.
Correct.
And then Josh asks, on a sales order that has items added with lot and serial numbers, is there a way for these serial numbers to show on the sales order page or actual invoice to the customer?
Yeah. So if you're selling something that has a serial number, go to a ship doc here. Let's go to the ship doc. This one has 2 serial numbers. All right. So I think one of these, maybe my packing slip template has them. Yeah, it does. You see that? There are the 2 serial numbers. So it's all in the template. You come in here, right? Admin, form template. I find the template that I want. In this case, it's my ship doc packing slip. I edit it. I go to data. I click on the item section, and then I have 2 areas. I have the item section, which is the first part of this, and I have the show details. By default, it says none. But in this case, I selected doc lot or serial number, which is just a fancy word for, or a computer geek word for saying put the bins and serial numbers in here. Okay. And then I have, all the including like machine hours or whatever you want here so in this case, I have the bin. Maybe we don't need the bin, take that off. So you have the serial number, quantity, warranty, press save. Back to my ship doc, back to my packing slip. That's it. All right.
There we go.
And here's a new feature. You don't have to right click and go print. You can just click on this button and it does it for you.
Oh yeah, the new print button. I don't think that was in the patch notes. I gotta add that. Okay, so the next one is I noticed that I'm unable to open a previously closed work order. Is this something related to the new update? Previously closed work order.
You're unable to open a previously closed work order. So something that's finished.
Yes.
How did you do it in the past? You just change the status back to waiting?
I used to, yes.
Well, you have to. Oh.
I'm getting a note saying this document cannot be changed if it has already been processed.
Okay, is it in QuickBooks?
No, it's not linked to it.
All right, hold on. Let me just get a current work order. So you're getting this? Something's wrong here.
It's
No.
the message that appears right after that. When you hit cancel, it says that the document
So if
cannot be
I
changed.
change the status to something else, it's giving me
You
a
have
message.
you have to remove it from the sync queue.
We have no accounting integration done on our all time.
Okay, so that's going to have to be a case.
Okay, I'm writing it up.
No problem. That's okay.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
question.
you.
Hold on one sec. Let me write that up. Work order. The next question is can we run a reorder analysis by drill down number and or assembly part number?
Reorder analysis to create purchase orders or create work orders.
Bobby, is it for work orders or purchase orders?
So for work orders,
Mm-hmm.
if I create a drill down and I'm like the lady before, I have lots of sub assemblies. So I create a drill down and all of my work orders have been created. Is there not a way in reorder analysis I can say, show me what I need to order all together for this entire drill down? So that we don't have to do it sub-assembly by sub-assembly under the dependency tab, because then you wind up with multiple POs to the same vendor.
By one work order number or by grouping of work order numbers?
Well, the grouping would be the drill down number.
Right, but wouldn't you want to order for all the work orders that are around?
In our particular case, we need the ability to do it by drill down number, just because of planning dates.
Okay. It's a feature request. Right now we have it. What we can do is we can drill down by a specific, just look at work orders, for example. We don't have to look at anything else, just look at work orders. And we can do it by, by a time horizon. But you can also filter by group, but maybe that's not going to help class. I don't think that'll help either. or specific vendor. So no, we don't have, I don't believe we have that specific drill down number.
Going to create a feature request for that one too. I just typed it up. And we'll get back with you about that too. I'm gonna note it down under your name.
One grouping of, just thinking.
We got more questions.
Is it all the same? Do you ever modify the bill of materials?
Yes, occasionally.
Okay.
So
And
you would.
it's coming on. Is it coming off of a linked work order? Or sorry, a linked sales order? Do you start off with a sales order?
We do not know.
All right, let me. I'm gonna have to think about that, Bobby. I know that's a good one. Got me
Okay.
there.
We're holding on to that. The next question is, from the new print button, would it be possible to auto log as an activity?
Auto log as an activity.
What, for when they click the new print button?
Well, we do. I think is printed now, right?
Yeah, that goes into the audit log, right? Or does it go into the activity history?
Let's see. It goes into it toggles the is printed. Is printed. It's a field. There's now is emailed and is printed. So it doesn't do that, I don't think. I don't think it logs it. I think it just toggles the printed.
Oh, okay. There's a new column called printed. Is that column under every document or is it just ship docs?
Every document.
Okay. So that's a new column that you could utilize for that.
There's also emailed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And if you'd like anything more advanced than that, Samantha, just shoot us
I mean,
a
I
ticket.
guess it's possible to log it. It's
Yeah.
possible.
Just make sure to send that in as a ticket because that'll be easier to put as a feature request from a ticket. The next question is, Robin says she wants what Bobby is asking for in reorder analysis for production. Also, it would be great if we can create all work orders for sub-assemblies also. All right.
Well, we'll have Josh wizard something up.
It's like, that's also been added to the feature request. Now your name has been added to it too. So we'll follow up with both of you. How do I delete a batch of work orders? We delete one by one now.
I
don't think you can batch delete work orders, right?
The only way to batch delete work orders or anything really is through the API. Yeah. The reason we haven't done a batch deletion is because
it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Exactly. Very dangerous. What we might do is maybe, I have an idea. Maybe we can just make it available for the admin users.
Yeah, or we have it as a preference, and then the master admin's got to turn it on and allow something. I don't know.
No.
Scary.
Yeah, no. There's got to be an admin, and if the admin says, batch delete, then fine. Otherwise, you don't want people. No.
Robin says she wants to delete batch delete work orders also.
Okay.
The next one was, can you sort reports alphabetically within a report group? So within those groups, like general sales, purchasing, all that stuff? I don't think we have a sort there.
Yeah, there is a sort. If you create a grouping, I think it's sorted within, sorted. Well, that's a good one. Okay. Yes, I think you could. Let's try it. So that's a good example. What is a good example? Because I think you can do it. Give a sec to open. So you're saying within this grouping, sort these, right? So right now, so let's say I wanted to sort by this field. Which is the full name. And I want to put it above. Now, the item is a grouping. I'm not going to be able to put it above there. There. Now we got the first grouping, and then the customer is now ordered, instead of by line number, it's ordered by customer name.
He says he's talking about the report titles themselves.
Oh.
Back at the report thing, yeah. Yeah, those ones right there.
Feature request.
Feature request.
Good questions. A lot of good questions.
Hold on one second, Ryan. Oh, Bobby says she doesn't see the printed field in the work order listing as a display option. Is that one of the columns there?
Oh, work orders? Oh,
Yeah.
we're talking more of customer documents or vendor documents. Sorry, we can put it on there. I mean, I don't know why we'd email or print. All right. Well, we can put printed on here. That's a future request. But we're talking about mostly documents like customer
that are customer facing, yeah.
Or vendor facing.
Yeah. But I added that as a feature request also.
Yeah,
and
sure.
then Danielle asks, exporting images included in a report is currently not possible. Is this an enhancement slated for the future?
It is possible. It's a trick. There's your items. Add the items. Add item image or images. Okay. Okay, so now you can add the name or number, the description, whatever you want here. Okay. Now, to include the image, I add the ID field, like so. Okay. And I don't want any items that do not have an image.
Nice.
Okay.
FYI, this is all being recorded, so if you didn't catch that or if you need to watch it back, like the recording's going to have all this, and I'll include notes also.
But do the images export?
The images export as an image? No, I don't think so.
When you click export on that.
Well, yeah, it's the actual image itself, the image link.
Oh, it's the image link.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the image link. It's this link here. That's the link. Okay.
Yep.
And if you had it in Excel, if you open that up in Excel, it'll show the image. If you export it and open it up in Excel, I believe it'll show the image. If you format that cell as an image. You know what I mean?
Oh, if you set the column format as image.
That's right.
All right. I don't see any more questions. Oh, okay. Back to Ryan. He's got a question about the rental, but it might be easier to use the mic. Ryan, you want to ask that real quick?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all the work you guys put in here. I may have to just go back and rewatch part of this because naturally, while you were right in the middle of that, I got a call I had to take.
It's all good.
But we'd like to use the rental module as a way for us to be able to track demo units that we've sent out. And I've spoken with Jason about this previously, and I had a few more questions there. So in our case, I really actually don't want to send a bill to the customer at all. I also, when we looked at trying to be able to track kind of what was coming in and going out with our demo program, we just basically send out free product, and then the customer, sometimes they'll pass it on to somebody else. Sometimes they'll just end up one way or another, it gets sent back to us. Anyway, now with this rental module, I'd like to be able to send it out, no invoice, but I'd also, with inside QuickBooks, I don't want it skewing our numbers insofar as saying that we've sold more items than we actually have. And from what I'm understanding with the rental side of it, it's not actually going to say that I've sold a specific item, but I don't want to, I'm kind of curious, and I may just have to get into it more. I'm kind of curious, are you seeing a good way for us to be able to use this rental module, again, simply to track demo units that are going in and out, and basically be able to track who got sent something?
There's a better way in the system to do that. And it could be just a transfer, like an easier way. I don't know if you have used the transfers, multiple locations, that type of thing.
I remember we had looked at that originally. Offhand, I'm not remembering exactly why that wasn't quite working out. I think I want to say with transfers,
the rentals will do it. And you can just set all the prices to 0, so nothing will go into QuickBooks that will affect the financials at all.
Okay. So then maybe I'll go back and look at the transfers and how to make all that work again. Do you have, if you don't have time on this call, that's fine, but do you have like a real quick idea as to how you'd use a transfer?
Yeah, you set up a location or multiple locations, one per customer, even if you wanted to. So the locations list is over here. These are all the locations. I can have different names, so I can have literally one for each customer if I wanted to. At that point, I would do transfers. So, so a transfer typically is we're transferring an item, in this case, one item called hard drive with a serial number from HQ to customer A. So just a really simple thing. And we can print this off whichever way we want. I can print it off as a transfer with no pricing. I can put a pricing on it. It doesn't really matter. But the point that I'm making is that now looking at this customer inventory, I can see everything that's in there. And I have a full transaction history of it going to the customer, maybe coming back, going to another one, et cetera, through the movement detail report.
So then would you delete any locations later on? Or like, for example, like at this point, even just this year, I would have hundreds and hundreds, probably even push thousands of locations. Is that not necessarily a problem? I mean, it just sounds kind of crazy to have that kind of a list on, because then wouldn't the locations show up for like any time I'm doing basically any other transaction in the a sales order, a purchase, or excuse me, not a sales order, a work order, and trying to select a location for where it's coming from?
No, because you can make it unavailable.
Okay, so when you're done, you could just basically make it unavailable
or inactivate it.
Got it. Okay.
Do you track serial numbers?
We don't track serial. We track lot numbers.
Okay, then really all you need is one location. You don't even have to, because serial number is specific. And on a transfer, I believe Transfer key. I wonder if we can put a customer name on a transfer. That would be interesting.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I see where you're going there. Anyway, if you could tie a customer name to a transfer.
Let's put that on a feature request. There shouldn't be a difficult thing to add. Customer.
Noting it right now.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I think that for the most part, yeah, that answers that.
Yeah, one location, then you can see the transfers. There. Let's do that.
Awesome.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. If you got any last minute questions, go for it right now. Otherwise, we're gonna sign off. I know this has gone late, but thank you for all the people who stuck with it to listen to all the questions and answers. And I will be sending an after webinar email with notes and the link to the recording.
Thank you very much, everybody.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm going to check off now.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.